Hola clase, ahora vamos a hablar sobre el presente progresivo. It's a verb tense called the present progressive. Please write this down in your notes as you see it on the screen. The present progressive is used to say what someone is doing right now. How do you form it? You use a conjugated form of a star. So estoy, estás, está, estamos, estáis, están, plus something called a present participle. Of course, you guys already know your conjugated form of a star, so you're going to just copy it down one more time right here. Practice makes permanent, and so we want to make sure we're doing it right. So you're going to need a conjugated form of a star plus this thing called a present participle, the doing part, or in your English classes you might call it a gerund. How do you form the present participle? It's not too bad. First step, you take off the infinitive ending, which means, of course, the AR, ER, IR. Then, if you have an AR verb, after taking that off, you're going to add ando. And if it's an ER, IR verb, you're going to add endo. There's a star there because, of course, there are some exceptions to that, but these are the general rules. I have complete faith that you guys can do that. Of course, in our notes, we always include an example sentence. So please write this down. We are studying. And then I would like you to, underneath it, try to write that sentence. So you're going to write down we, then you're going to need the we form of a star. You're going to take the infinitive of the verb to study, which is estudiar. Since it's an AR verb, you're going to take off the AR and add ando. We will check your answers in class when we go over this together. When you're ready, move on to the next page because we have to talk about some special present participle rules to find out what the star is about. One thing I always say about the present progressive is that you should always think of everything in twos. It is the present progressive. It's used to say what someone is doing. You take a conjugated form of a star plus the present participle. So it has two parts. Let's talk about those special present participle rules. Okay. For ER and IR verbs with a vowel directly in front of their infinitive ending, we're going to have to do something special. So this does not pertain to AR verbs, only ER and IR verbs that have a vowel right before their infinitive ending. You have to change the I in endo to a Y. So if I change the I to a Y, I get yendo. I don't know why I have a period there. That's not really a sentence. I can't get rid of it. All right. So I want you guys to think for a second. Can you think of or look on your yellow sheets of an ER or an IR verb that has a vowel right before the infinitive ending? What is the verb to read? It is leer. Look right there. There's the infinitive ending. There's a vowel right before it. So you would think that it would be LE, drop the ER, and then you add IENDO. But that's just way too many vowels in a row. So to say reading, it would be leyendo. Maybe if you look at your yellow sheet or if you thought about it, you would also realize that the verb traer, which means to bring, is also another ER-IR verb with a vowel directly before the ending. Knowing that, I would like you to, in your notes, attempt to right here, in this space where the box is covering it up, try to write down what the present participle of traer would be. So it's going to be treated like layer. Look at what happens to it if you can. If not, we will talk about it in class. So that's special present participle rule number 1. Let's move on to special present participle rule number 2. You guys don't have to rewrite that because you already have that in your notes. Rule number 2 is for IR verbs that are stem changers in the present tense. So this does not apply to AR or ER verbs, only IR verbs, because AR and ER verbs do not stem change at all in the present participle form, but the IR verbs will. Let's look at what happens to them. They no longer stem change from E to IE or O to UE. Now it's only E to I only or O to U only. Do I know that I just put only in that sentence 3 times? Yes, I do. It's because it's very important. What I would like you to do in this space here is look at your yellow sheet and list all of the IR verbs that are stem changers. Just list them in a vertical row. If you want to, you can have 2 columns, and we will write down what their present participle becomes. So write down all your IR verbs from your yellow sheet that are also stem changers, and we will look at them together as far as what the present participle becomes. If you think you're ready for that challenge, go ahead and write down what you think their present participle form is. Last but not least, for your notes, we're going to do the same thing we did for your nouns and adjective notes, where we write down a few example sentences. So, after you've written down those verbs from your yellow sheet, please write down these 5 sentences, leaving 2 blank lines after each one, 2 blank lines after each, because we're going to fill in the Spanish sentence and then we want a blank line between each one. So 2 blank lines after each one, and if you're feeling really good, I would love to see you attempt to write these sentences in Spanish. If you have any questions, bring them with you to class. Thank you for taking your present progressive notes, which are used to say what someone is doing, conjugated form of a star, plus that thing called the present participle, that part that ends in ando or yendo, that means the ing, the ing. All right, guys, thanks. Bye.